trust you're doing well. So today we are looking at names because obviously everything that exists that we know of should have a name. It's by the names that we recognize them and can even tell of their significance, and even for lovers or people who get married new, you realize that most of the times they'll have to change names to like baby and all those like Nikki's because it carries some meaning and significance for them. Obviously names are very important, and for most of us who grew up from the Christian background would have some Christian name or something of that sort. For instance, I was named Stella Anna, and I carried that throughout my education and everything until recently when I awakened. And for most of us who started spiritual, cultural, traditional path, some of these words are really intertwined and confusing. Our first desire is to be identified as African. So for me, I started feeling some kind of vibe, and I wasn't using my traditional name, if I should say, that much because everybody knew me by my school name. And it's like all of a sudden I started falling in love with my traditional name. That's the Ifwa, so that's what you see there. And then the Nshoma basically stands for the same Stella, because Stella, as I came to understand, stands for the bright star. I even learned there's a star that has the name Stella alone, so I just thought, okay, change it to the local dialect, that is Nshoma. So I have Ifwa in Nshoma. And so most of us desire to change names. I even learned in China most of their names are compounds of sounds made together from clashing bowls or metals or something. I don't know for sure, but that's what I just learned. So for most of us who get on this traditional part, we desire to have local names. And of course, as an African, you should be identified for your local names. But I think for me, when I started my journey, I was very radical about everything. Like, I'm an African. I have to identify myself as African. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't wear that. I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't even be speaking a foreign language. I should go with my traditional or local language. Fine. But the point is, it's not as if we're born already awakened, knowing which path to take, and our parents even knew, and so groomed us to identify ourselves as cultural people. Most of us grew up from the Christian background, the foreign ways, and we just transitioned when we're very old in life, you get it. So it's like, in as much as we desire to be identified by our indigenous things and what we stand for, sometimes some of these things need to be done in a gradual process. For instance, all my school certificates and official documents bear the name Stellana, and then all of a sudden, of course, people do change their name, of course, but as the process goes, it's not that easy. You have to go gazette your name, like write letters here and there, show you are the same person. It's like now every official document you have to attach your new name and all that. You could pay for it, cool, but the point is the awakening just about changing names? Because I've met so many people on social media who have changed their names, want to be known by some hundious African names, like names that you hear in Ohomosu Bibisa, you get it. And the point is, doesn't end there. It's cool. It's good. I changed my name and I feel so much at peace with a new name. It's like it carries some kind of vibration and good feeling for me that whenever anybody mentions if I'm like, yeah, that's me, Yes, but is it just about changing names? For me, it goes beyond just changing names. After all, even when we change our names, are we still not using the English alphabet? And I know people are trying their best to come out with is it traditional or indigenous alphabets, Akan alphabet, this, that. But at the end of the day, most of these Akan alphabets, are they not equally sounding as English alphabets with just a little twist here and there? That's not to say we should stop the effort completely, but with what I've got into, I realize everything is just a gradual process, The world or awakening, or let's say us being brainwashed did not just start in one day. Like the colonial masters came to Africa and they just started whipping everybody like, hey, just accept Jesus. It was a gradual, systematic approach that probably took years into centuries, and I mean like millenniums and all that. And as much as we change our names, we may try to change our food and a few things here and there. Sometimes I feel we just have to be gradual with some things, because there are a few occasions I've encountered friends who have their local names and they feel they are better than an African who is still carrying a foreign name. And my point is, if we are all using the English alphabet to spell our names, whether you choose to spell a name that sounds like your local dialect, or somebody chooses to spell a name that sounds like the English, at the end of the day, I feel the importance has to do with the weight or the vibration that goes with a name. A name like Grace, Grace in the Tree dialect is Adom. Adom is still Grace, you know. So for somebody who is more conversant with the English language, and maybe to like prevent the issue of having to explain name to people all the time, like you go somewhere, they're like Adom, and somebody asks, oh, what does Adom mean? Then you have to say Grace, and now the person, whenever is thinking of Adom, is still thinking of Grace. It's still not the same. So for me, my point is, whether you choose to still hold on to your English names and still in spirit know you're an African, or whether you choose to now just be completely known by your traditional or African names and know what its worth is for you. I feel this whole awakening is on an individual basis. That's why maybe if you pick me, my whole family didn't have to awaken, only me. And I feel the need to be addressed by my local name because it carries some vibration for me. For somebody also, maybe for where they work and some few other things they have to do, and the fact that they have to go through the stress of gazetting their names here and there, just feel like, let me go by my English name. It's cool. So maybe somebody is Johnson. I don't know its equivalent in Tree, but for whatever reason, Johnson basically is son of John. Who is John? We don't join this in the Bible, but whatever it says, I'm sure if you look out for John, you would find a meaning. You get it? So, well, we are transitioning. I feel it's a gradual process, and I've come to the point where I realize that I think my next video will talk about culture. Culture is broader than just trying to preserve African culture through libation and food offering. It's way bigger, as I'm beginning to learn now. So yeah, sometimes I feel we just have to be very liberal, not liberal to the extent we're losing up, but in as much as we love our indigenous tribe or our land and we are trying to retain it, there's also this interrelational relationships we need to have with others to ensure the smooth flow or running of life. And so yeah, and everything, let's learn to balance life 50-50. Long live Africa, long live the youth, and grand rising to us all. Peace.